It's me, Erica Manfre, the moody wine drinker, and I am early as per usual. So we're gonna wait for Ryan to get on. Hopefully he has decent internet. I mean, these little baby hairs, you guys, there's just nothing I can do about it. It's just hashtag my life. But I am wearing my Rosé shirt, even though it's backwards for you guys, because we're gonna be drinking Alfaro Rosé. Well, truth be told, I don't know if we're gonna be drinking Alfaro Rosé, but I have a cold one and a room temperature one in case we decide to drink it. Because last time we didn't drink wine, which was not on purpose, but it's just like what happened, and so I just want to be prepared this time. So it's 2021. I just can't even believe it. Hi, Christy. You're my first one on today. I was just saying how it's 2021, and I just still can't. I just can't believe it. But have you had Alfaro's, Christy? They're the Corlitas winery, which is a super cute little small part of Watsonville. And we're just waiting for Ryan to join us. I remember when Alfaro just started, like with anything, you know, their first few vintages are inconsistent, and they're really good. They've been really good for like 10, 11 years now. So I don't know when they started. We'll have to ask Ryan when he joins. But Jared just joined from his truck. Don't drive and be on Instagram, Jared. It's illegal. I'm always early. You guys, this is a real problem. But how cute is their label? I hope that he explains this, because I really don't know the story of the label. But we'll see. My wine girls are all joining. I'm just sitting here casually in my Rosé shirt. I need to redo my hair. We've got lots going on right now. I was telling everyone about my craziness that happens, but it's just my life. Maybe it'll just be me. Maybe I should just start drinking. Maybe Ryan is detained. Oh, hi, Cora. Sweet girl. So can we talk about dry January for a minute? I'm like really perturbed by this concept. I have never heard about dry January before this year. And I can't decide if it's because everyone drank so much in 2020 that they're feeling like they need to stop drinking for some reason. I'm just really bothered by it. First of all, it's not good for the wine industry. So let's talk about the business side first, because I'm a business owner. And so we all know that I think about business first. But second of all, just because it's 2021, nothing has exactly changed. I mean, we're still in a pandemic. We still can't go anywhere. So, yeah, I can't. So anyone that's following me that's doing it, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Yes, Social Sam is in DC and she needs wine. But you know, I'm in California and I need wine. It makes me happy. Truth be told, what got me through 2020 was pretending that it was vacation. And so I just drank all the things and ate all the things. So it's literally what got me through the whole year. So granted, I've gained like 20 pounds. So for 2021, instead of eliminating something, because that's really hard to do, I'm just going to add exercise. So I already have. I've done like 8 miles this year, and it's like the 6th day of the year. I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I'm trying to like earn my wine. That's like how I'm framing it. So I'm currently drinking Alfaro Family Vineyards. We're waiting for Ryan Alfaro. Again, we all know I'm chronically early, so He's only 6 minutes late, so I'm not too worried about it. Anyone that does lives, you guys, please have light in your face. Right now I'm sitting by a window, but like the photographer in me, it drives me insane when people are in the dark. So just always be by a window or have a ring light. Meredith is very good about having a ring light. But so anyway, this is Rosé of Pinot. Did you guys see Kelly Woods, who I love? She is a winemaker, and she just talked about a Rosé of Cab, a new one in Napa. Has anyone here had a Rosé of Cab before? Gosh, I love rosé. I mean, it's just delicious. Ooh, Cab Franc rosé. See, we should do like a whole thing about the different varietals of reds and do a rosé of them. I know, it's happening right now, Meredith. Do you guys slurp? I am like a notorious slurper. When I taste, ooh, he's here. Thank God, because I was going to talk about how I drink wine. You guys are liking the one woman show. Maybe I'll have to do another one.
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. You know what?
I kept messaging because it wasn't popping up, but I had pretty bad internet, I guess, at the time.
Well, you have good internet now. I'm happy to see you.
Excellent. Well, sorry about that. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Ryan, I'm going to give a little intro to you. You are second generation Alfaro family vineyards, and you and I went to the same elementary school for a minute, Salesian Sisters, which is just up the hill from the vineyard. And you and I connected because you shared a post of rosé, and I was like in carpool line waiting, and I like was on Instagram and I saw it. And so I literally messaged you like, oh my gosh, do you still have this available? You said, yes. I said, cool. I'm like 2 minutes away. Can I come right now? And you said, yes. So now we're best friends.
Yeah, no, it was quite a long-term connection there. Salesian, but like you said, you can see the.
So thank you for joining me today. So this is all about behind the wine. So yeah, we'll talk about the wine. It'll be threaded throughout. But it's really more about you and your, like, you as a person. So can you tell us a little bit about, your first memory of wine and how you got into, or how your family got into the business?
Okay.
Technology. Okay. We'll get it here. Well, while we pause, we should go back to the loud drinking of wine. It fully drives Jared, my husband, nuts because he's like not a wine drinker. And, I just want to know all the things, where it hits my palate. It's just now, and so I almost do that to coffee now. Hey, there you are.
I really don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. That's 100% from my side, but
that's okay. Let's go for it. We've got good internet.
So we live out in Corralitos, so everyone can tell. Corralitos doesn't have the best internet. We're out here in the boons, but we are in a beautiful area for farming, and especially farming Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, along with other varietals that we do. To go along with what you were asking me to begin with, I am a second-generation winemaker, although my parents are still heavily involved as well. My father still does all the farming. We have 56 acres of a state vineyard that he does farm, and my mother still runs all of the tasting room and wine club, although she is gradually phasing out and retiring.
I love it.
Yeah, it is great. They work hard and they work a lot, but they need to enjoy themselves a little more sometimes.
Yeah.
How I got into the business, I was born and raised on the vineyard. I've grown up here my entire life, but I never was really pushed by my parents, nor did I really get involved until my later teen years. I was a victim of child labor, and I did help bottle since I was about 11 years old. when I could lift up a bottle. At 19, I started drinking a little more wine with my parents. You know, my parents were always kind of strict about the underage drinking thing, but as I showed a little more interest in actual consumption of wine, my parents started allowing me to drink wine.
But can you tell them the story of like what you guys did before wine? I know being in Watsonville, like it was a super common thing for me to know, but I don't know how many other people know. Well, you know what, you guys? Sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want. Okay, so I'm just going to chat really quick about what I know of Alfaro Family Vineyards, and I'll probably butcher some of it, but they actually had a really successful bakery in town that was called Alfaro Bakery. And it was really interesting because they just sold one day, and I was like shocked. They were like a staple, and while they sold, it wasn't like, I think they sold to like a huge company, but they had sourdough as like their jam. They made the best sourdough, which anyone in the central coast of California knows that we have really good sourdough here because of our climate. And so yeast is like, so anyone 2020, we all know about yeast and sourdough now.
I'm so sorry about this. I don't know what is going on.
You know, it's that Wi-Fi life.
But yeah, about the bakery, I can continue going on if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So my parents started a bakery in 1988 called Alfaro's Micro Bakery, and it was actually downtown at the bus stop, at this bus station, and they ran it as a local micro bakery for 2 years, and then the giant earthquake hit. And the whole downtown Santa Cruz was destroyed, so there wasn't any foot traffic. And then from there, they transitioned into a wholesale bakery. And that is kind of where the bakery took off. So after that second year of the brick and mortar store, they closed that because of the earthquake and started a wholesale bakery and started wholesaling to local restaurants and grocery stores. And they did that for a while. The bakery was out in Watsonville, and they ran that for 10 years. And you know, anyone who knows about baking knows that it is long hours, early morning and long days. So that kind of took a toll on both my parents, and they were given a great opportunity to sell that bakery in 1998.
What did they sell? Are you able to disclose that? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. They sold it to Sara Lee, or what was Sara Lee at the time. So a large company, and you know that at the time, you know, towards the end of the bakery years, my parents knew they wanted to transition into something new. They're quite the people that love to be active and can't really settle down, and that's what, you know, that they're still going full force with the winery right now. They've been to the age.
What year was your vintage then at the winery?
So my parents were making wine at this time, the last year. Yeah, so they were actually bootleggers in the garage, making 500 cases though out of a garage, which is pretty significant for a small garage.
Yes.
So they were doing bootlegging based pretty much. They were making wine in their garage the last couple years, and then they bought the property and planted the first vineyard the final year of the bakery. So in 1998, the first vines were planted. So the first estate vintage was 2001. Okay. And then since there, it has grown. So now, you know, planted in 1998, and we're here working on, you know, almost 22 years now. 20, yeah. So it's been a long process, and it's grown a lot. We've planted new varietals. We are still predominantly Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, but we do have Syrah, Merlot, and Gruner Veltliner, and we actually just planted a little bit of Malbec several years ago.
So good. Now, I was just there, and I have to compliment you. I mean, it was before that most recent lockdown, but it was such a seamless operation. It was so cool. there was still that like total awesome, like small winery vibe. But it was my dad and I went, and while I loved it, I did miss the interaction with the staff or with you. But I mean, obviously that's just not possible right now, but it was a great experience. You guys did a really good job.
I appreciate that. You know, it's all about adapting right now. It changes every week, whether you're open, whether you're not, whether, you know, the rules that you have to abide by. But we've slowly been tinkering with it. And I feel, you know, our main focus is making everyone comfortable. Yep. Everyone has different levels of comfort during this. And so that is our main focus. We wish we could interact with everyone a little more, but, you know, we do have to abide by those rules and make sure everyone does feel comfortable. But I do appreciate hearing that you had a great time.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So Ryan, so you said you started kind of getting more interested around 19?
Yes.
And so at that point, were you like, I'm all in? Or
no, absolutely. I was all in. I was still doing undergrad down at UCLA, which unfortunately does not have a wine program. They do have a great soil science and environmental studies program, which I was majoring in. But from there, I actually went off and did a postgraduate degree in viticulture and enology. So while I was into it and wanted to dive headfirst and knew that's what I was going to do, I still needed to finish my undergrad before I can fully dive headfirst into the chemistry side of it. Because I had been working vintages through college. And
where did you get that postgraduate?
That was at University of Auckland in New Zealand. So I spent some time out there, which was wonderful because, like I said in the beginning of the video, just learning how wine is from different geographical regions and how it's, especially out there, how it was made.
Yeah.
That was definitely an amazing experience. Not only did I learn a ton from the academic side, but it also just opened my mind to new wines.
Right. And do you have siblings?
I have an older sister, yes.
And is she also in the business, or is it just?
Right now, it's just me. She does work, on the service side. She'll work events, work the tasting room. But as far as the production side, that's just me right now.
And so what are you said your mom is starting to step back, Mary Kay, who's I just love her. And then your dad is still involved. What are the 5-year, 10-year plans? Like, what are your aspirations?
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents are gradually stepping back. My dad's first love is always farming. He's always loved the farming aspect of the winemaking side. And so he's always going to be pretty much involved in that for now. The idea is I have been for the past couple of years doing all the winemaking and cellar work, and that's going to continue to go transition into that. I don't think my father will ever be fully done with the wine industry. He really enjoys it and will continue to enjoying it. It's a lot different and more of an artistic driven side than the bakery business was. And I think that was a huge reason he transitioned into that. My parents fell in love or met each other in the restaurant industry. So they've always been around food and wine. And that is kind of a catalyst of why my father knew he was going to get into the wine industry after the bakery. But 5 to 10 year program, I like that you said we had a small winery feel, because in the grand scheme of things, we are a small winery. We produce only between 8,000 to 10,000 cases, depending on the vintage, which in the grand scheme of the wine world is small. Yeah. That's pretty much max capacity. We're not going to really grow past that. As far as our facility, we really couldn't make more wine. We have a small team, and we kept the small team the entire time. So we have 3 full-time workers besides myself, and they've been with us for 19, 17, and 8 years. They're a group of 3 brothers. They live on property. So we keep it all in-house, and that's pretty much the idea of the 5 to 10 year plan. My father will gradually phase out even more and be here during the harvest and be here during the heavy farming times. But other than that, kind of enjoy himself a little more than he does. As far as where I want to go with it, I think it's just starting to make even better wine every year. And I think some of these vineyards that we've been working with and that we've planted, they're slowly, I've now been reaching a maturity level that they're really starting to show some depth that I'm really enjoying. So I think, trying to improve those more and more. We're always experimenting. Yeah. So not only do we experiment in the winery, but we also experiment in the vineyard. My father has planted Gruner Veltliner, so he was the first person in the area to do that. So we wanted to continue growing that program because it is still, not a super well-known grape, especially in California. In fact, when my father planted that, there were only 10 acres in all of California. So not a huge planting. So we want to continue growing that. We're a cool climate, but he's planted Syrah, Malbec, Merlot. Those are normally known as warmer climate varietals. And he might have some new varietals coming in the next couple of years that he's been seeing up. So we're trying to grow that program, and we've actually transitioned into 100% estate now.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've been in business about 20 years now, making wine from estate, but we've been purchasing fruit. So 2020 was the first year we went 100% estate, and that's where I and my father see it going. We're going to stay 100% estate. 56 acres is a lot to handle and a lot to work with to begin with.
Especially
so we want to focus on that.
I'm sure you have seasonal guys you bring in, but it's a lot to manage.
We bring in pickers, but in terms of interns, we do not bring in any interns. So there's 5 of us doing all the farming and winemaking. Yeah. Small team, we keep it small. The idea of that is if we did bring in interns, it would take away work from our full-time men that work with us.
You have to teach them something first to have them have any value.
True, and that's another aspect of it. We wish we could, expand knowledge and help people learn, but it's kind of tough bringing in new workers and teaching them the style we do it, as well as it would take work away from the people that we provide full-time work to, which is the main aspect of it.
Can we talk a little bit about your label program? Because it's very...
Yeah. I have a couple of them with me actually, as well.
Because you've got a lot of labels, which is rare for a small winery. So
that's another thing we've been working on. We've gradually been cutting back on some SKUs. So about 4 years ago, we made 30 different SKUs, which is just madness. It's madness, and it drove my mother crazy, who ran the tasting room and the wine club. So we've gradually been cutting back SKUs. So that is also one of the reasons why we're going 100% estate, to kind of bring it even more in-house, limit the SKUs, make it a little bit easier on us as well as the customers. Yeah. Having 30 different SKUs is pretty tough, to keep track of. But our labels, if you can see it here, we have the whole family on the label. I know everyone tries to say they are a family winery, but we really try to embody a family winery. We all live on site. Pretty much everyone is involved, as well as our workers live on site, who are also brothers. Yeah, so we're all on site. We're all family. So it's pretty important to us, as well as it made it a little easier during the whole quarantine situation, because we do really live in our own little bubble.
Like a little compound. I like it.
Yeah, pretty much. But the label here, it's our whole family. My father's scratching his head there, wondering what the heck he just got himself into, planting all these vineyards. That blue truck, we own that blue truck, and it is on a couple other labels as well. This was a painting done for my parents' house, actually, by a local Santa Cruz artist named Lori Zezit. The original painting is behind the bar in the tasting room. We like it bright and somewhat flamboyant, kind of pop off the shelf. We are known for our baby blue color, as well as our yellow top with our Chardonnay, pink for our Rosé. The other label we have here is our entry level. This is a Pinot, 100% estate. This is a blend of 3 different vineyards. So we make a Pinot Noir, which is the blue label, a Chardonnay, which is the yellow, and a Syrah that is red. These are all estate wines, but they are a blend of multiple vineyards.
And that's the point for the A label, right?
That's our entry-level wine, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, if you are like looking for an everyday drinking wine, that A label is solid. It's like
you can't beat it, especially for the price. We're trying to over-deliver on this wine. You know, it's supposed to be overvalued wine for a very good price, I would say. You know, the Pinot retails for $25, which is pretty killer on a price point from Santa Cruz Mountain fruit. And that is all 100% estate Santa Cruz Mountain fruit.
Yeah, for sure. So other than going like really all into the vineyards, can we talk a little bit about Santa Cruz Mountain AVA Corralitos, like your little pocket? Yeah,
we can talk. I'll talk Santa Cruz Mountain AVA as a whole, and then Corralitos. You know, Santa Cruz is a very unique AVA. It covers such a large geographical region, but actually doesn't have a large amount of acreage planted. I'm not sure what the total acreage planted currently is. I know little vineyards are popping up, but the thing with Santa Cruz Mountains, there isn't many large vineyards. There are a lot little pockets of smaller vineyards, like that, which makes it unique, but also kind of makes it tough as a region as a whole, because we're not fully known for a specific varietal, but we can make world-class Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and then a 30-minute drive, which still is in the mountains, makes world-class Cabernet. So it really is a special growing region. Corralitos as a whole, we are on the western side of the Santa Cruz Mountains. So to be considered a part of the AVA, you need to have above 400 feet of elevation. So Santa Cruz Mountains AVA is distinguished by elevation. On the western side of the AVA, you have to be above 400 feet of elevation, and on the eastern side, inland, you have to be 800 feet. So all of our estate vineyards are 400 and above. In Corralitos, we do, personally for Alfaro Family Vineyards, we reach to just about 900 feet above sea level. What's amazing about Corralitos is we are so close to the ocean. Right. So our vineyards are about just under 3 miles from the ocean. So we do still have a really beautiful oceanic influence, which you can see in the acidity of our wine. That's kind of what Corralitos and Santa Cruz Mountains as a whole is known for, our acidity. We're in a little pocket here where we get incredible fog in the morning, but we also, it blows off at about 11 a.m. or so every day. So that is huge for our acid retention, as well as our cool climate influence of our flavor profile. And then you also ripen, though. I mean, like Merlot can be really hit and miss this over here because it doesn't always warm up enough to ripen, you know. Absolutely. So our property is kind of special. We have 2 sides facing it. So we are actually planting the Syrah, Merlot, and Malbec on the highest point of our property, but also it reaches the most sun. Sure. So you get the morning sun as well as the afternoon sun, because it is pretty cold climate for those varietals, which is what we like in the flavor profile of those 3 varietals. But the most importantly is you need to get it right. And we actually don't have trouble getting it right. You know, my father, just an incredible farmer. Yeah. He really understands the area and understands his vineyards specifically. We do a lot of leaf pulling to kind of open up the canopy to get a lot of sun in there. But it is special because we can grow so many different varietals here in Corralitos and still have that beautiful, cool climate aspect of the winemaking side that we're going for. And for you as the winemaker, do you have any like philosophy? Are you extended maceration? Are you like, when are you harvesting at a certain, like, do you want it overripe or you want it lower bricks, or what is your? Yeah, no, we're definitely trying to portray Santa Cruz Mountains fruit. And what I truly believe about that is not overripe, not over extracted. So we do very minimal extraction in the cellar. I actually don't punch down our tanks. We do gravity rack and return. So we gravity feed it into a tank and we lift it up and wet the cap with it. We're not trying to overly extract tannins. We're really trying to show that beautiful, cool climate salinity and minerality that our specific vineyards that we work with are known for. And I think if you over macerate or over extract, you can kind of overpower the beauty and acidity and the salinity that we have in fruit.
We have a question here. Do you sell to distributors into retailers and restaurants around the country?
Yeah, yes, we do. Our California distributor is Monterey Bay Company, or Monterey Bay Wine Company. We actually have some distribution on the East Coast. In Virginia, Maryland, and D.C., we use Well Crafted Beverage. And in Massachusetts, we use Hogshead. So we do have distribution around the country. We sell predominantly in California, and we actually sell about 80% of our wine within about a 30-mile radius. So we do focus on our local community, and that's really how we're known, and we're known well here. But we are trying to distribute elsewhere as well where the demand is necessary. And of course, we sell to grocery stores and restaurants around the country as well. Yeah.
And then direct too, like you ship to how many states?
So direct, we actually sell 60% of our wine direct.
Okay.
And that's through our wine club and the tasting room on site in the vineyards there. We do ship to I think there's about now 12 states we do not ship to. Shipping has become really, really controversial issue in the wine world in the past couple of years with all the new permitting and licensing and tax regulations. So that is an ongoing process of figuring out of how to ship everywhere.
Yeah. And do you guys sell out vintage after vintage?
You know, we're in the business to sell. So we do sell out all of our vintages. We don't have a huge library selection. I do get that question on a weekly basis. People, it's a little easier for us to hold wine than just a consumer to hold wine in their house. That's a little tougher. But we do not have a large library. I keep about a case of every vintage wine that we make for personal use. Just to kind of see how they evolve and the taste in a flight over the years. But as far as keeping a vintage cellar to sell, we don't. We're a small facility, a small space, so it's tough to maneuver everything. We wish we could, but we just don't.
And now, do you have a Billy K. Merlot handy? Do you have one right there?
I don't have one on me right now, unfortunately.
Can you just tell the story about that? Because that's your grandpa, right?
Yeah, that's a beautiful label. I really wish I grabbed them. I couldn't. I have a couple other bottles here as well. I just couldn't grab all of our 30 SKUs that we make.
We just drank the last one at my dad's or my parents' house, so that's why.
No, that's a beautiful label. It is. It's my grandfather in the Gulf of Mexico back in the 40s. He caught a huge marlin. So my grandfather, who's a big man, big Bordeaux drinking fanatic. Yeah. And so we named our Merlot block Billy K after him. I think that vineyard was planted in 2005, I believe. So we have about, give or take 17 years of that vintage. Oh, excuse me. That's terrible math. I meant 12 years. We get about 3 years or so before we harvest fruit from a vineyard once we plant it.
Sure. So I just have to say I had that wine for the first time when I was working at Vino Cruz in Santa Cruz, the original. And the label, I was like, what is this? It's literally a photograph of a marlin and a guy standing next to it. And then I was like, Merlot and Corralitos, I was just not sold on that. I was like, this is going to be horrible. And it was so good. So I just have to recommend that. It's been good every vintage I've tried.
Oh, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And it's actually taken a little bit to understand. My father was telling me back in the early vintages, back in 2008 or so, they were over extracted. And, that was kind of the style of wine that a lot of people were making back then, over-extracted, heavier alcohol. So it took some years to truly understand, being such a cool climate, we really get in Merlot more peppery aroma, more cigar box, tobacco leaf, than some other ripe fruit characteristics that a lot of warmer climates will get. So I think kind of trying to make it slightly softer, a little easier to consume at a younger age really shows that wine's personality. And to my knowledge, I'm not sure of other Merlot vineyards in Corralitos. I actually should look that up. I don't know.
I haven't heard of any. Not that I'm an expert, but
a Malbec that I keep mentioning, which is a new varietal for us. I know there's one other vineyard, to my knowledge, in Santa Cruz Mountains with that, but that's on the eastern side. Yeah, we're trying to experiment not only in the vineyard, but also in the cellar. We're always doing different things over the years because, it's a never ending process of learning, especially with the grapes that we work with.
Well, I love that. So I know we're going to get cut off here soon with Instagram, but I did want to ask, is there anything coming up that we should be aware of other than the varietals that you mentioned?
In terms of us, we're looking at planting a couple new varietals, but we're all kind of up in the air. We don't really know when we're going to reopen. I don't know if anyone does. So we're hanging on to our chairs and trying to figure out what we can do. And, it's all about adapting, like I said earlier. So we might have a couple special flash sales coming up again. We're thinking about doing one with heirloom clone, which is actually one of my favorite SKUs that we make. It's a specific type of all old heritage Californian clones that we do. So we have a 2018 release of that we might do a special coming up on. Other than that, nothing too new. We're getting ready to bottle Rosé in the coming months. Rosé and Gruner Veltliner. I saw you drinking the Rosé earlier. Those are the first two wines that we produce. But in terms of the winemaking side, it's a little slower right now up until, about a month or two when we do the Rosé.
Cool. And the best way to support you is to go to your website and buy wine, right?
alfarowine.com. I can throw that in the comments. I really appreciate it, especially in this time. Buying directly from us is huge. We kept our 100% of our payroll going during this time. And as a small family business, that is tough, but that's a priority for us to keep our full-time workers employed and happy. So it's tough times for everyone, but all the little purchases help. So we really appreciate that. And if you can't get it from us, get it from a local grocery store or restaurant.
Yes, for sure. Well, I appreciate you working with me through this Wi-Fi interesting beginning, but it turned out to be an awesome conversation. I really appreciate it. And,
I really appreciate it too. And sorry for those technical difficulties. I'm pretty sure that was 100% on my side.
All right. Well,
we're out in the mountains here, so it's tough.
Exactly. So we'll rip this and save it to IGTV, and the podcast will go live this week. So thanks. Excellent. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.